appreciate everybody showing up for Matt's kickoff event for his DCCC race. This is wonderful. Now, I will tell you, I know Matt feels a little bit awkward because he's always used to being in the role of telling me what to say and everything, but since this is about him tonight, I've been trying to whisper in his ear all day, you know, what the hell he should say. And his reaction is the same that mine is, leave me alone, I know what I'm doing. It's the same thing. So I really want to thank all of you for turning out. There's a few people that I want to highlight and say, really, thank you so much for coming. Mayor Art Agnos is here.
Yes!
And let me tell you, but he is here for a reason that is totally divorced from his affection for Matt, his admiration of Matt. He's here out of geographic loyalties because they grew up 20 miles away from each other in Massachusetts. So you gotta stick together, right? We're taking over. Raphael Mandelman, member of the county committee. Long-time friend and supporter, Judge Ellen Chayton, and husband D.Y. Lefcourt. And where is Jack Gribben, VP of the California Labor Federation and the political director of Local 2. Now, they should tell you right now, you see Jack here, you know that this is not just going to be sending out mail, right, Jack? You're going to put together a vigorous field operation. It's a vigorous field operation for Matt Dorsey. Well, listen, I want to thank all of you for coming out to support Matt. And the fact that all of you are here tonight for a county committee race tells me, number one, how important you know the county committee is to what San Francisco is all about, but more importantly, the fact that you have such affection and admiration for Matt Dorsey, and you know he's going to do a great job as an elected member of the Democratic. So let me tell you, I see a lot of members here. It's very interesting to see the wide range of support that we have. A lot of members from the city attorney's office. We have county committee members. We have people from labor. We have Matt's friends from Most Holy Redeemer. Yeah, friends from Most Holy Redeemer. Where Matt is very active in the parish, and where he takes me once in a while, especially during campaign season. So now I can go with you. But really, listen, I can't tell you how happy I am to be here to introduce Matt, to be talking about somebody else's campaign other than mine. And this is actually a lot more enjoyable, because I get to extol the virtues of a tremendous person, and that's Matt Dorsey. You know that I've had the privilege of having Matt work in my office for 10 years.
Wow,
and as many of you know, in a lot of ways, he is the conscience of the city attorney's office. Because people talk to me about the great progressive stuff that I've done with the law to improve people's lives. 3/4 of that stuff wouldn't have happened without Matt Dorsey whispering in my ear and telling me not to forget about people. And this reminds me of something that Art Agnos told me a long time ago. He was talking in the context of running for mayor. But it goes for any elected office that you hold. County committee, city attorney, district attorney. You know, it's really easy to just be objective, but you want to be involved in public life, you got to have a heart and do it with your heart. And that is something that Matt Dorsey does each and every day, regardless of the issue, regardless of the relationship, regardless of the focus. And we all know that there is nobody better in City Hall when it comes to dealing with the press, with right to speech. But there is no smarter, more compassionate person who knows what using the power of government to make a difference in people's lives each and every day is really all about, and that is Matt Dorsey. Now, we have heard over the course of the last several election cycles, people talking about county committee and people focusing on the moderates going to win and the progressives are going to win, but really let's talk about what the county central committee really is. The party is about speaking to what our values are, to what democratic values are here in the city and county of San Francisco, and making sure that people's voices are heard. And I know that's something that Matt Dorsey does each and every day, whether it be in the city attorney's office or in the time that he has been on the county central committee, whether it be marriage equality or fighting for health care or making sure the tenants are protected, or making sure that we're looking out for HIV positive people here in the city and county of San Francisco, and continuing the tradition that has been a hallmark of this city for years and years and has been under the leadership of folks in elected office. Matt Dorsey makes sure that he is the conscience that never forgets about that. And it's also about making sure that we have an apparatus that speak to those values. And that's what the party is and should be and is going to be about. And I can tell you there's no candidate in this race that has been able to meld the two as much as Matt Dorsey. From working for the Democratic National Committee when he was fighting for health care back under the Clinton administration, to working for the state party, to working for the local party. There is nobody in this race that has worked at each and every level of party politics to make sure that we are melding good policy and good politics. And that is why I am proud to not only employ him, but to support him wholeheartedly, and to ask all of you to make sure that you get out and translate the affection and enthusiasm that you have for Matt as a person to making sure that he gets elected and continue to represent what we are all about for the next 2 years on the Democratic County Central Committee. And with that, I give you my friend and the next elected incumbent, Matt Dorsey.
Thank you all for coming, and I want to thank Dennis Herrera. You know, I've said that it has been the honor of my career to work for a city attorney's office under the leadership of a leader with the caliber of Dennis Herrera. The people and the colleagues, there's not a day in the city attorney's office that goes by that I am not proud of the work that we're doing for consumers and the environment, to fight for marriage equality, to defend a woman's right to choose. And you know, one of my favorites, which is for 10 years being PG&E's worst nightmare. So, and all the deputies in the office too, all deserve a hand. So I want to thank all of you for coming. I'll talk a little bit about I'll try to just be brief, but talk a little bit about the DCCC and why it's an honor for me to serve on it, and just 3 priorities that are going to be, that I think are important. The first and foremost is I was appointed to occupy a seat that was held by Michael Goldstein, who was one of my favorite people in San Francisco politics, who lived for 25 years with HIV, and it's because of Michael, and because I'm HIV positive myself, that the #1 priority for me is always going to be to carry on his tradition of being a conscience for HIV, progressive policy on health care. And I think that's something that will honor Michael. Now sometimes it's going to be difficult funding issues like we're facing now. And Supervisors Campos and Wiener and Olagi have been champions on that, and they deserve enormous credit. And sometimes it's going to be things that are not just difficult, but also controversial. And those are things like safe injection sites and ending the practice of using condoms as evidence in prosecutions for prostitution. Because and those are the kinds of things that Anaconda and Laura Thomas, Stephanie Ashley, and Carol Stewart have been leaders on. And that's the kind of thing that I want to contribute. That's going to be my #1 priority. The #2 priority is it's kind of boring, so if you want to get a drink, now's it. But it's actually just the voter registration, voter education, and GOTV that a party should do. Now, I know that there's a lot of pundits and political insiders who are going to be talking, and who are already talking about how important this race is in terms of what it means to the balance of power between City Hall progressives and City Hall moderates. I don't minimize that, and I certainly understand it. Those of you who know me know my values are very much rooted in economic justice and social justice traditions of our party. I'm proud to be a progressive. I'm proud to run with my progressive. But I also have, I'm proud and maybe a little surprised to have some support, a lot of support from moderates as well. So I hope that I have a reputation of being able to work cooperatively and productively with moderates as well. But with all due respect to my friends at City Hall, there are things on the November ballot that are actually beyond City Hall, that are just as important or more important. And actually there's one that I think may be more important even than Barack Obama himself, and that's on the California ballot. It's the so-called Paycheck Protection Initiative that, if it passes, will eviscerate labor's ability to fight for working families in California. The Democratic Party has to do everything we can locally, because traditionally San Francisco we've got to come out of San Francisco with a huge margin to offset the conservative counties If we didn't do that in Kamala Harris's race, we'd have a Republican defending Prop 8 right now. So that's a responsibility San Francisco has to do, and we have to kind of take it seriously. So that's number 2. Number 3 is something that the National Democratic Party is really not doing a very good job at, and that's reaching out to and engaging young voters. I don't know if anybody saw last month, there was an article, a feature story in Rolling Stone about millennial voters. And those are the people who are born in the 1980s and the 1990s. They're the largest generational cohort in American history. They're the children of the baby boomers. They are overwhelmingly progressive. They're the most liberal voters since the New Deal. But that's the good news. The bad news is, in droves, they're staying away from the Democratic Party because we're not giving them a participatory party that is principled, that they can embrace as their own, and we've got to change it. I think we can make a model for how we do change it in San Francisco for a couple of reasons. One is we have a network of vibrant Democratic clubs, more than 30 chartered Democratic clubs here in San Francisco. We have very promising, bright, up-and-coming people that I see in this room, and I would start naming, but I'll leave somebody out. But there are some millennial voters right here who are superstars. In the Milk Club and in the Alice Club and elsewhere. And they need to be our ambassadors to that. And one of the things that I think we need to work on, near-term and long-term, is making sure that the Democratic clubs are availing themselves of the state Democratic Party's bounty program, which awards clubs and committees up to $4.50 per registered Democrat. And then there's something I think we can do beyond that as a local party. I'm hoping that in the next 2 years we can add some funding as a San Francisco Democratic Party to target millennial voters. Let's put some money into the game, some skin in the game for the grassroots, get some funding to these clubs so that they can identify the voters who are going to be the future of our party, and that's what we need to do, not just for the next 6 months before the election, but that's going to pay dividends for the next 60 years. So that's my third priority that I really want to work on. You know, politics at its core is about optimism. It's about the belief that we can make a difference through our energy and our activism. It's about people like you who come out, on a kind of a dreary day to support a friend with your hard-earned dollars for an obscure office that I won't be able to do anything for you. I can't give anybody jobs. I can't fix parking tickets. I couldn't get a library fine waived if my life depended on it. But I can promise this. I can promise that on the DCCC, I am going to spare no degree of energy to fight for the values that make us Democrats. And, it's... Well, I guess that's it. I guess that's the thing.